Hello, I'm going to read this book because a man named Jake Dapper advised me this book a month ago, and he was happy to see that someone was still sharing information on the internet. So, because he advised me this book, I'm going to read it as well, so you can listen it as an audio book. It's called The Lost Keys of Freemasonry, or The Secret of Hiram Abif by Mandy P. Hall. The publisher's foreword. The steady demand and increasing popularity of this volume, of which 18,000 copies have been printed since it first appeared a few years ago, have brought the present revised and rearranged edition into being. The text can be read with profit by both new and old Mason, for within its pages lies an interpretation of Masonic symbolism which supplements the monitorial instruction usually given in the lodges. The leading Masonic scholars of all times have agreed that the symbols of the fraternity are susceptible of the most profound interpretation and thus reveal to the truly initiated certain secrets concerning the spiritual realities of life. Freemasonry is therefore more than a mere social organization, a few centuries old, and can be regarded as a perpetuation of the philosophical mysteries and initiations of the ancients. This in keeping with the inner tradition of the craft, a heritage from the pre-revival days. The present volume will appeal to the thoughtful Mason as an inspiring work, for it satisfies the yearning of further light and leads the initiate to the sanctum sanctorum where the mysteries are revealed. The book is a contribution to Masonic idealism, revealing the profounder aspects of our ancient and gentle fraternity, those unique and distinctive features which have proved a constant inspiration through the centuries. A foreword by Reynold E. Blight. Reality forever eludes us. Infinity mocks our puny efforts to imprison it in definition and dogma. Our most splendid realizations are only adumbrations of the light. It, in his endeavors, man is but a mollusk seeking to encompass the ocean. Yet man cannot cease his struggle to find God. There is a yearning in his soul that will not let him rest, an urge that compels him to attempt the impossible, to attain the unattainable. He lifts feeble hands to grasp the stars, and despite a million years of failure and millenniums of disappointment, the soul of man springs heavenward with even greater avidity than when the race was young. He pursues even though the flying ideal eternally slips from his embrace. Even though he never clasps the goddess of his dreams, he refuses to believe that she is a phantom. To him, she is the only reality. He reaches upward and will not be content until the sword of Orion is in his hands and the glorious Arcturus gleams from his breast. Man is Parsifal searching for the sacred cup, Sir Launfal adventuring for the holy grain. Life is a divine adventure, a splendid quest. Language falls, words are mere ciphers, and who can read the riddle? These words we use, what are they but vain shadows of form and sense? We strive to clothe our highest thought with verbal trappings that our brother may see and understand, and we would describe a saint, he sees a demon. And when we could present a wise man, he beholds a fool. Fie upon you, he cries, thou too art a fool. So wisdom drapes her truth with symbolism and covers her insight with allegory. Creeds, rituals, poems, and are parables and symbols. The ignorant take them literally and build for themselves prison houses of words, and with bitter speech and bitter taunt denounce those who will not join them in the dungeon. Before the rapt vision of the seer, dogma and ceremony, legend and trope dissolve and fade, and he sees behind the fact, the truth, behind the symbol, the reality. Through the shadow shines ever the perfect light. What is a Mason? He is a man who in his heart has been duly and truly prepared, has been found worthy and well qualified, has been admitted to the fraternity of builders, been invested with certain passwords and signs by which he may be enabled to work and receive wages as a master mason, and travel in foreign lands in search of that which was lost, the word. Down through the misty vistas of the ages rings a clarion declaration, and although the very heavens echo to the reverberations, but few hear and fewer understand. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Here then is the eternal paradox. The Word is lost, yet it is ever with us. The light that illumines the distant horizon shines in our hearts. Thou wouldest not seek me hadst thou not found me. We travel afar only to find that which we hunger for at home. And as Victor Hugo says, the thirst of the infinite proves infinity. That which we seek lives in our souls. This, the unspeakable truth, the unutterable perfection, the author has set before us in these pages. Not a Mason himself, he has read the deeper meaning of the ritual. Not having assumed the formal obligation, he calls upon all mankind to enter into the Holy of Holies. Not initiated into the physical craft, he declares the secret doctrine that all may hear. With vivid allegory and profound philosophical disquisition, he expounds the sublime teachings of Freemasonry, older than all religions, as universal as human aspiration. It is well. Blessed are the eyes that see, and the ears that hear, and the heart that understands. Introduction. Freemasonry, though not a religion, is essentially religious. Most of its legends and allegories are of sacred nature. Much of it is woven into the structure of Christianity. We have learned to consider our own religion as the only inspired one, and this probably accounts for much of the misunderstanding in the world today and concerning the place occupied by Freemasonry in the spiritual ethics of our race. A religion is a divinely inspired code of morals. A religious person is one inspired to nobler living by this code. He is identified by the code, which is the source of illumination. Thus we may say that a Christian is one who receives his spiritual ideals of right and wrong from the message of the Christ, while a Buddhist is one who molds his life into the archetype of morality given by the great Gautama, or one of the other Buddhas. All doctrines which seek to unfold and preserve that invisible spark in man named spirit are said to be spiritual. Those which ignore this invisible element and concentrate entirely upon the visible are said to be material. There is in religion a wonderful point of balance, where the materialist and the spiritist meet on a plane of logic and reason. Science and theology are two ends of a single truth, but the world will never receive the full benefit of their investigations until they have made peace with each other and labor hand in hand for the accomplishment of the great work, the liberation of spirit and intelligence from the three-dimensional prison house of ignorance, superstition, and fear. That which gives man knowledge of himself can be inspired only by the self, and God is the self in all things. In truth, he is the inspiration and the thing inspired. It has been stated in Scripture that God was the Word, and the Word was made flesh. Man's task is now to make flesh reflect the glory of that Word, which is within the soul of himself. It is this task which has created the need of religion. Not one faith alone, but many creeds, each searching in its own way, each meeting the needs of individual people, each emphasizing one point above all others. 12 fellow craftsmen are exploring the 4 points of the compass. Are not these 12 the 12 great world religions, each seeking in its own way for that which was lost in the ages past, and the quest for what is the birthright of man? Is not the quest for reality in a world of illusions the task for which each comes into the world? We are here to gain the balance in a sphere of unbalance, to find rest in a restless thing, to unveil illusion, and to slay the dragon of our own animal natures. As David, king of Israel, gave to the hands of his son Solomon the task he could not accomplish, so each generation gives to the next the work of the building the temple, or rather, rebuilding the dwelling of the Lord, which is on Mount Moriah. Truth is not lost, yet it must be sought for and found. Reality is ever present, dimensionless yet all prevailing. Man, creature of attitudes and desires, and servant of impressions and opinions, cannot, with the wavering unbalance of an untutored mind, learn to know that which he himself does not possess. As man attains a quality, he discovers that quality and recognizes about him the thing newborn within himself. Man is born with eyes, yet only after long years of sorrow does he learn to see clearly and in harmony with the plan. He is born with senses, but only after long experience and fruitless strivings does he bring these senses to the temple and lays them as offerings upon the altar of Great Father, who alone does all things well and with understanding. Man is in truth born in the sin of ignorance, but with a capacity for understanding. He has a mind capable of wisdom, a heart capable of feeling, and a hand strong for the great work in life, truing the rough ashlar into the perfect stone. What more can any creature ask than the opportunity to prove the thing he is, the dream that inspires him, the vision that leads him on? We have no right to ask for wisdom. In whose name do we beg for understanding? By what authority do we demand happiness? None of these things is the birthright of any creature, yet all may have them, if they will cultivate within themselves the thing that they desire. There is no need of asking, nor does any deity bow down to give man these things that he desires. Man is given by nature a gift, and that gift is the privilege of labor. Through labor he learns all things. Religions are groups of people gathered together in the labor of learning. The world is a school. We are here to learn, and our presence here proves our need of instruction. Every living creature is struggling to break the strangling bonds of limitation, that pressing narrowness which inhabits vision and leaves the life without an ideal. Every soul is engaged in a great work, the labor of personal liberation from the state of ignorance. And the world is a great prison. Its bars are the unknown, and each is a prisoner until at last he earns the right to tear these bars from their mouldering sockets and pass illuminated and inspired into the darkness which becomes lighted by that presence. All peoples seek the temple where God dwells, where the spirit of the great truth illuminates the shadows of human ignorance, but they know not which way to turn, nor where this temple is. The mist of dogma surrounds them. Ages of thoughtlessness bind them. Limitation weakens them and retards their footsteps. They wander in darkness, seeking light, failing to realize that the light is in the heart of the darkness. To the few who have found him, God is revealed. These in turn reveal him to man, striving to tell ignorance the message of wisdom. But seldom does man understand the mystery that has been unveiled. He tries weakly to follow in the steps of those who have attained, but all too often finds the path more difficult than he ever dreamed. So he kneels in prayer before the mountain he cannot climb, from whose top gleams the light, which he is neither strong enough to reach nor wise enough to comprehend. He lives the law as he knows it, always fearing in his heart that he has not read aright the flaming letters in the sky, and that in living the letter of the law he has murdered the spirit. Man bows humbly to the unknown, peopling the shadows of his own ignorance with saints and saviors, ghosts and specters, gods and demons. Ignorance fears all things, falling terror-stricken before the passing wind. Superstition stands as the monument to ignorance, and before it kneel all who realize their own weakness, who see in all things the strength they do not possess, who give to the sticks and stones the power to bruise them, who change the beauties of nature into the dwelling place of ghouls and ogres. Wisdom fears no thing, but still bows humbly to its own source, while superstition hates all things. Wisdom, with its deeper understanding, loves all things, for it has seen the beauty, the tenderness, and the sweetness which underlie life's mystery. Life is a span of time appointed for accomplishment. Every fleeting movement is an opportunity, and those who are great are the ones who have recognized life as the opportunity for all things. Arts, sciences, and religions are monuments standing for what humanity has already accomplished. They stand as memorials to the unfolding mind of man, and through them, man acquires more efficient and more intelligent methods of attaining prescribed results. Blessed are those who can profit by the experiences of others, who in adding to that which already has been built, can make the inspiration real, the dreams practical. Those who give man the things he needs, while seldom appreciated in their own age, are later recognized as the saviors of the human race. Masonry is a structure built upon experience. Each stone is a sequential step in the unfolding of intelligence. The shrines of Masonry are ornamented by the jewels of thousand ages. Its ritual ring with the words of enlightened seers and illuminated sages. 100 religions have brought their gifts of wisdom to its altar. Arts and sciences unnumbered have contributed to its symbolism. It is more than a faith, it is a path of certainty. It is more than a belief, it is a fact. Masonry is a university teaching the liberal arts and sciences of the soul to all who will attend to its words. It is a shadow of the great Atlantean mystery school which stood with all its splendor in the ancient city of the Golden Gates, where now the turbulent Atlantic rolls in unbroken sweep. Its chairs are seats of learning. Its pillars uphold the arc of universal education, not only in material things, but also in those qualities which are of the spirit. Upon its trestle boards are inscribed the sacred truths of all nations and of all peoples, and upon those who understand its sacred depths has dawned in great reality. Masonry is, in truth, that long lost thing which all peoples have sought in all ages. Masonry is the common denominator as well as the common divisor of human aspiration. Most of the religions of the world are like processions. One leads and the many follow. In the footsteps of the demigods, man follows in his search for truth and illumination. The Christian follows the gentle Nazarene up the widening slopes of Calvary. The Buddhist follows his great emancipator through his wanderings in the wilderness. The Mohammedan makes its pilgrimage across the desert sands to the black tent at Mecca. Truth leads and ignorance follows in its train. Spirit blazes the trail and matter follows behind. In the world today, ideals live, but a monster in their purity. Before the gathering hosts of darkness will snuff out the gleaming spark. The mystery school, however, remains unmoved. It does not bring its light to man. Man must bring his light to it. Ideals coming into the world become idols within a few short hours, but man entering the gates of the sanctuary changes the idol back to an ideal. Man is climbing an endless flight of steps with his eyes fixed upon the goal at the top. Many cannot see the goal, and only one or two steps are visible before them. He has learned, however, one great lesson, namely that as he builds his own character, he is given strength to climb the steps. Hence, a Mason is a builder of the temple of character. He is the architect of a sublime mystery, the gleaming, glowing temple of his own soul. He realizes that he best serves God when he joins with the great architect in building one more noble structures in the universe below. All who are attempting to attain the mastery through constructive efforts are Masons at heart, regardless of religious sect or belief. A Mason is not necessarily a member of a lodge. In a broad sense, he is any person who daily tries to live the Masonic life and to serve intelligently the needs of the great architect. The Masonic brother pledges himself to assist all other temple builders in whatever extremity of life, and in so doing he pledges himself to every living thing, for they are all temple builders, building more noble structures to the glory of the universal God. The true Masonic Lodge is a mystery school, a place where candidates are taken out of the follies and the foibles of the world and instructed in the mysteries of life, relationships, and the identity of that germ of spiritual essence within, which is in the truth the Son of God, beloved of his Father. The Mason views life seriously, realizing that every wasted moment is a lost opportunity, and that omnipotence is gained only through earnestness and endeavor. Above all other relationships, he recognizes the universal brotherhood of every living thing. The symbol of the clasped hands, explained in the lodge, reflects his attitude towards all the world, for he is the comrade of all created things. He realizes also that his spirit is a glowing, gleaming jewel, which he must enshrine with a holy temple built by the labor of his hands, the meditation of his heart, and the aspiration of his soul. Freemasonry is a philosophy which is essentially creedless. It is the truer for it. Its brothers bow to the truth regardless of the bearer. They serve light instead of wrangling over the one who brings it. In this way, they prove that they are seeking to know better the will and the dictates of the invincible one. No truer religion exists than that of world comradeship and brotherhood, for the purpose of glorifying one God and building for him a temple of constructive attitude and a noble character.